Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Detail TV. It's chock full of information. We've been receiving ever-increasing questions regarding grit separators, a usually plastic device that rests in place at the bottom of a bucket. Manufacturers claim this device would separate debris, that's particles in the water, and prevent them from rising above the surface of the separator, thus creating and maintaining cleaner water and preventing debris from being lodged into your washing device, be it a nanofiber wash mitt or a sponge. Final Inspection has carried out very specific tests to determine whether or not this works. We already knew the answer, however we wanted to design a proper test so we could determine whether or not these devices do provide the claimed functionality. Particles in wash water do fall below a separator, but don't magically hide underneath that device. They re-enter the washing water the same way they fell below the separator and allow your washing device to absorb them. The science says that this device simply does nothing or very little at best to avoid particles from re-entering the area above the separator. We thought it was very easy to see how such a device couldn't possibly assist in the process of clearing a section of water of particles. However, a test under laboratory conditions has proved our initial thoughts. The testing procedure and analysis is as follows. We wash one vehicle in exactly two halves. One half is washed with 50 ml of paint pampering body shampoo into a half-filled 30-litre bucket of water, and the other is washed in exactly the same way, with the exception being that a different bucket is used. It is roughly the same capacity and is filled with exactly the same amount of water from the same water source at the same temperature. This bucket has a grit separator installed, and to maximise the efficiency of the grit separator, the bucket purchased is designed to be used with the grit separator. The grit separator fits snug into the inner diameter of the bucket, which should assist reducing the amount of particles avoiding the separator by sneaking in between the bucket walls and the mechanism itself. So we wash the car with the usual methods. New materials are used and they are washed before use to avoid any chance of introducing contamination. We're obviously using a one bucket method for this first process. At the end of the wash mitts are rinsed separately in a trough that's pre-cleaned and cleaned between uses. The rinse water is collected. The rinse water from both samples are then passed through two 5 micron particle filters. The filters are allowed to dry, and the filter is analysed under magnification. These are the results for the first method. We've found that both filters have particles present. Both filters have the same amount of particles present, and both filters have the same size and type of particles present. So using a bucket or using a bucket with a grit separator produces exactly the same result. The next washing procedure is repeated with multiple vehicles. The halves washed are interchanged regularly and systematically, and the rinse water is collected after each use and passed through the same 5 micron filters dedicated to each mitt. The mitts are washed between each car with fresh water. At the end of this process and after the significantly larger sample size of 28 vehicles, the filters are analysed once again. The result is no perceptible variation in the amount, size, or type of particles found in each sample. The two systems result in exactly the same water quality. The same amount and size of particles were present in both mitts following the wash procedure, and we can only conclude that imperfections in the surfaces caused contact with these particles by the mechanical action used to clean the surface is consistent. A third process was used to clean the same car, weekly, and with both systems dedicated to one particular side of the vehicle. The vehicle had all imperfections removed prior to the test. The result was that the vehicle sustained very small, almost insignificant amounts of damage after 24 washing programs. However, we observed the same amount of damage on both sides of the vehicle. A fourth process was to wash using the Final Inspection 0 bucket method on one side of the car and a 2 bucket method on the other. The 2 buckets had a grit separator each, and the 2 buckets chosen were designed for those devices. The results were that the half washed with the 0 bucket method sustained significantly less damage than the half washed with the 2 bucket method. The rinse water from the 0 bucket method contained significantly fewer particles than the residual of the 2 bucket method. The process outlined in the Drama Clean article on the final inspection website is still the safest, simplest and cheapest procedure for washing vehicles in order to avoid and/or reduce inducing imperfections such as swirling. So there you have it guys, our test results determine that 0 buckets are better than 2 and grit separators do not provide you with cleaner water. I hope this has been helpful, I'll see you next time.